And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Hack City, Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson. Welcome back, everybody. Losing plenty of bets on college basketball, so going to be plenty distracted throughout this episode. Of course, though, we've got free agency to recap. More moves have happened. We're going to share our favorite 2 moves that have happened since Tuesday, as well as the Giants spending some money on positions that aren't really that much of a need, and the Vikings going all out on boosting their offensive line. Sean, before we get there, can you share with our listeners a quick word from BetOnline?
Yeah, the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. Seasoned fan, of course, I love going to BetOnline. Other novices that may or may not share this table, you know, they can be welcome at BetOnline as well. They can actually go in they can make some wagers,
hey, dickhead,
and they can
don't
go.
Call me a novice.
I'm in the middle of a read.
Who are you calling a novice?
I mean, I said may or may not be. Why are you taking offense to it if it's not you?
Yeah.
I said may or may not be at this table.
Who's been 70% on college basketball?
I heard you're at 69% now, and you're under the 70 mark. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good number to be at.
It's not a bad number to be at.
Okay.
Taking offense if the shoe fits. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Load on up for March Madness. Load on up for all the conference tournament games. Head to BetOnline. The game starts here.
All right, Sean, let's start. I just want to quickly rip off a couple of the moves that happened over the past couple of days since we taped on Tuesday that we really liked. Nothing really major's happened. All the big, crazy moves have occurred. They all happened on Monday, pretty much a little bit on Tuesday. The first one that I really liked that caught my attention, Evan Ingram going to the Denver Broncos. We know that Sean Payton loves to have athletic tight ends. We know that he likes to have weapons to work with. That was one of the missing pieces, it felt like, for this Denver offense. Now, I don't think that this completely takes away the possibility of them drafting a tight end this year. I still think that they should take one of the top tight ends if they're on the board when they're picking. But to have Evan Ingram also in the mix feels like such an easy fit.
Here's the question I'm going to pose to you, because the Evan Ingram career arc, it's tricky. Is Evan Ingram good?
No, but in the right system he is.
Okay, so
for that 1 year in
2023
in McAdoo's offense,
yeah,
and then that 1 year, because he had that really good freaking year where OBJ was hurt and he was the only guy that Eli Manning could throw to, and then he had the one really good year in Jacksonville, and then he tapered off a little bit. So the right system, yes, he's gonna get you one good season, and then you're good. That's it. That's all you need.
Crunching the numbers here, his rookie year, that might have been the OBJ year.
It was
115 targets for Evan Ingram.
I'm telling you.
64 catches.
He was the truth.
700 yards, 6 touchdowns.
He was the truth.
That's the truth, I guess.
Yeah. For a tight end.
2023, 143 targets in the season. I guess, you know what? He's a good guy to have and throw to in a general range if you don't have anybody else to throw to.
Yeah.
Kind of fixes Denver's problem.
Exactly.
We don't have a bunch of other guys that were that confident throwing the ball over their heads. Let's sail it over EE's head. If he drops it, that's typical EE. If he catches it and gets some yak,
who calls him EE?
That's
Since when
EE.
do people call me EE?
I'm starting with EE.
Okay.
I'm getting big into abbreviations. We got RR. We got
RR is good. I don't mind RR. RR is just funny to say because Ryan Roberts is not an RR. He doesn't look like an RR.
I think he's RR.
You think he is?
Yeah, I think he could hold himself. He'll never call himself RR. I wish I could call you JD.
I'm not a JD though.
You don't want to be a JD?
I'm not a. Okay, let's stick on EE.
Let's get back to EE. EE, I think, fills a bit of a gap for Denver. I still want them to draft a tight end badly. I want them to draft a high priority, high value tight end. It's a fine move, though. He'll be tight end 2 in the new system. If they don't draft one, he's tight end 1. And it's a big target that'll drop the ball and make you frustrated. But he'll also, I guess, catch some touchdowns. He's got 25 touchdowns since 2017. 7 years in the league. He's been banged up. He's been hurt. But it's Evan Ingram.
It's something. He's athletic. That's all that
He's
matters.
athletic.
Sean Payton loves himself an athletic tight end.
If you're expecting Jimmy Graham 2.0, you will be disappointed. If you're expecting Evan Ingram, full, complete Evan Ingram circumstance, you'll get that. He's going to give it to you.
4.0.
Yeah, I hope he has a good year. I hope he keeps on sticking it to New York for just putting him on an island.
I didn't see the first one that you wrote down. What?
My first move here, Rico Dowdle to the Panthers. Kind of fires me up. Rico Dowdle on the Dallas Cowboys last season, couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand that the Rico Dowdle was the best running back that they had capable of working in the offense. But Carolina, starting to take themselves seriously, put him with Chuba Hubbard. I know Jonathan Brooks got injured. They got rid of Miles Sanders. Who's going to fill the role? How about a dynamic flex back like Rico Dowdle that can catch the rock and can run between the tackles? I don't need him to go scatting outside the tackles. Just churn, be a body that disappears in the mess. I think he's very good at that. And catch the ball in the flat. Be a great safety option for Bryce Young. And Carolina's got an immediate weapon. I actually think it's a sneaky good offseason for Carolina. I'm not high on them. I'm excited to see them split with Atlanta next year, as bad as they're going to be.
See, the craziest thing about it, I forgot that they actually didn't even see that they got rid of Miles Sanders, which is so stupid because they actually paid him like a decent contract.
Paid him a big contract.
What, was it Chuba Hubbard that they gave the big deal to this season?
Yeah, I think they extended him in season, or maybe it was at the tail end.
Yeah, the 4-year, $33 million contract extension in November, which is like
he's fine. He's solid.
I got to be honest with you. Their running back management, knowing that they gave a bunch of money to Miles Sanders and they cut him, gave a bunch of money to Chuba Hubbard, who's okay, and then they drafted Jonathan Brooks, and then now they signed Rico Dowdle. Their running back management's horrible. This might be some of the worst running back roster management that I have ever seen. I'm going to be straight up with you on this one.
Sure.
I hate this pick. I bet you that Rico Dowdle, if you told me that Rico Dowdle didn't make the roster, I'd probably be like, okay, that makes perfect sense.
He's a 7-touchdown guy for Carolina this year as a running back in a running back 2 role.
He is going to be a special teamer.
No. We're going to see a reincarnation of D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart. And not as good of a reincarnation.
Who's Jonathan Stewart and who's D'Angelo Williams in that situation?
It's more just a Carolina Panthers tandem back there. They went from pretty good running
back
Walmart
management. Version of that, maybe.
No, they're not Walmart. They're maybe a Sam's Club drop off from Costco. How about that? Calling them Walmart. I'm sure Dowdle
sucks. I just got to. I try not to be that.
I was that guy.
Here's
the thing.
Ass.
I was that guy.
What does he do well? Just be there.
I think he maximizes his touches. I thought he was going to be soft. I thought he was going to just be a jag on a team that was going nowhere. You
got the team going nowhere part right. He was on a team that had no running back, so that, hey, man, you want to go in? You want to get some carries? Go ahead. Anybody could get some carries.
I was on this.
Micah Parsons carries over him.
I was on this bandwagon all year last year, and then Dowdle just kept on putting up decent numbers in games. It was actually like a pretty good player for Dallas.
That's where I'm losing you. Decent. They had opportunities, man. They had a better offensive line than people want to give Dallas credit for. They did not get enough production out of him. They got as much production as you would expect from a guy that's typically a 4th or a 3rd running back on a team that's usually a practice squad guy. He earned himself a contract. Don't get me wrong. He earned himself this deal because, again, he put up some numbers. I'm not going to say good or bad. There's numbers that were put up.
1,300 scrimmage yards, 5 touchdowns. 5 touchdowns, but he ran for 1,000.
They trusted old man ass Zeke in the red zone more than they trusted him.
Oh, they didn't trust Zeke. No. When he started,
I had Dowdle on my fantasy team, man. Do you know how many times I looked up and then Dowdle had a 7-yard gain? You're like, oh, cool, this is long of the day, and then Ezekiel Elliott would get the goal line touches.
Down the stretch, he was regrettable at the beginning half of the season, but down the stretch, he turned it on. Put in performances of 112 yards and a touchdown, 131 yards, 149 yards, 104 yards. With a couple stinkers, but at the end of the season, he started actually improving when he was getting most of the touches in that backfield. I think that he's going to be a fine weapon for Carolina. It's a good ad for a bad team and a position that they need more help at.
This is, I think the way that you just put it actually puts this in even better context. This is a move that a bad team makes, where they go, "Oh, hey, Rico Dowdle did some things," and then he just goes on to be completely nothing for them. It was like when the Falcons signed Mike Davis. That's what it makes me think that. We're like,
Mike Davis played his ass off in Atlanta. How dare you take Mike Davis' name in
Davis
vain?
didn't do anything in Atlanta. What did he do in Atlanta?
He didn't really do anything, but he played his ass off.
Big ass legs,
yeah,
man.
he had big ass legs. He ran hard. He ran hard on every single touch. I watched Mike Davis give 100% effort every time he touched the ball. If Rico Dowdle does that, Carolina comes out as a winner in this.
Mike
Davis.
Oh my God, the amount of teams that Mike Davis has been on.
You're going to keep on taking his name in vain.
In Atlanta. So wait, when he was
also, Dowdle's a 1-year deal for $6 million. Like that is that.
Yeah,
that's
why
pennies.
he's going to get cut.
He's not going to get cut.
So Mike Davis had that one season where he had 642 yards, and then I remember he signed with Atlanta, and then people were like, "Whoa, Mike Davis, you got to draft him early in fantasy," and then he just didn't really do anything. He had 500 rushing yards.
Who's the Giants running back going to be this year?
Tyrone Tracy has had more rushing yards than Mike Davis ever will in his entire career.
We're not talking about Mike Davis anymore.
Tyrone Tracy's a good back. I think that they need to draft somebody. I think that they need to take if they took DJ Giddens or Omarion Hampton, ooh, I'd be geeked up.
I think Dowdle has, if we'll weight it for touches, has as good of a yards per carry average as Tyrone Tracy.
All right, get out of here.
I think he might have as many touchdowns as well.
We're going to look that up.
Go ahead.
You look up Dowdle, I'm going to look up Tyrone Tracy.
I'm saying for this upcoming year.
Oh, for this upcoming season. What did Tracy have last year? 4.4 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns? No, come on, man. Let's be realistic with ourselves. All right. My other signing that I really loved, Joey Bosa going to the Buffalo Bills. Bosa's on the very end of his career. The Buffalo Bills defensive line is relatively crowded. Getting the opportunity to immediately compete for a Super Bowl is exactly what Bosa should be doing. Don't go and chase the money. He's already gotten the big extension. He's already gotten the big bread. Don't just jump to the situation that you think you're going to get paid and then you just end up retiring. Go to a spot where you can compete. And I think for the Bills, it's one of those moves where you see a team with a loaded roster just adding big names. It felt like when the Eagles a couple of years ago, not this past Super Bowl run, but where they added Ndamukong Suh, they added, there was one other guy that they added, but they added a bunch of veteran defensive linemen. They were on their last legs. They weren't going to do anything super tremendous.
Did they add Martellus Bennett to that team?
I don't remember. There was another defensive lineman that they signed. I forget who it was.
God, that's going to kill me.
But it's one of those moves where you've already got some good starters. A.J. Epinesa, Gregory Rousseau's a good player. Ed Oliver's a good player. Bosa's not going to be the sack leader. But he's just going to be a contributing veteran that knows how to play the role and help the team win.
Bosa is 29. I don't think he is on the last legs of his career.
He's just been so banged up. He had a really bad back issue is why I say that he's probably cooked.
I think he's on his Chris Long arc, where spent a lot of time gutting it out for a team, didn't really get rewarded, goes to a better team, gets rewarded. This is and makes him it is an impact player, not the star of the show. It's not here comes the star yoy. That is a pull for maybe one person. But Joey Bosa is going to be a Chris. Well, you don't participate in the most highly rated fiction series of all time, but it's all good. Joey Bosa is going to be that Chris Long guy that can come in on 3rd and long, just push the quarterback out of the pocket, make him uncomfortable, a guy that can beat a bad tackle. That's what Buffalo needs. If he can fill that void that Von Miller was expected to do in Buffalo, he did fine in Buffalo, but they should expect Joey Bosa to put up just as good numbers, if not better. I hope that he does.
If he gets 7 sacks, that's a win.
Yes, I would agree.
I think 7 sacks is all you need out of Bosa, and then you feel good about yourself. And then that to me is a contribution on a group that already has. Did I say Epinesa earlier? Yeah, wait, Epinesa is on the team. I'm mixing him up with Karlaftis. Just big, massive meatheads. I don't know why I always mix the two of them up. I'm like, why do I think I mixed them up in that situation? Who was your other favorite free agent move?
My other favorite free agent move, how about Chris Godwin staying in Tampa Bay? A guy who's been rumored to be moving on to other teams every single year, year in, year out. Who's in on the Godwin sweepstakes? Oh, well, Godwin was kind of banged up at the end of the year. We don't know what his market value is going to be. His market value is Chris Godwin scoring touchdowns on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers alongside Mike Evans. And they both keep on taking lesser deals to play next to each other and keep that offensive contingency. I love it. I love the way Tampa Bay has executed their offseason. They returned so many starters year in and year out, and it's selfless ball. I don't know if it's Brady effect. I don't know if it's Baker effect. I don't know if it's all Jason Licht. I'm not sure. But okay. You know what? I'll wear that one. I shouldn't be held to an absolute standard for GM pronunciations. But you are right. What Tampa Bay does is so rare in the NFL, to be able to get these guys who can make millions and millions more on a bad team like my team, on a bad team like your team, but to stay with a winner that has won 4 straight division titles. Well, mediocre division, but at the same point, it's great. I love this move. I love that he's not going to slop it up in New York. I love that he's not going out west to be Marvin Harrison Jr.'s sidekick. It's awesome. Good for the Bucs.
By the way, can you throw the overlay on top of us? I just realized we didn't
come
have it
off?
on. Yeah, but I think it has some of that. But Gavin, by the way, pointed out it was Michael Bennett that you were going for.
That's right.
It was Michael Bennett. That was who I was missing, so it's a good shout by Gavin. Whenever I think of us talking about free agent moves, I always think of like us only talking about guys who left. I don't bother to consider guys who are returning. So this one, you're right. Godwin, I don't know how much real premier performances he has left in him. There were spurts where he was one of the better receivers, 1,000-yard guy that could be super reliable playing opposite Evans. And him and Evans are kind of on that downward arc of their careers. But if the Bucs do have any desire or hope to maybe reach a Super Bowl again, I don't know if they ever can do it with Baker. Having him in the mix is the most important. You're right. Him going somewhere else and being second fiddle to a team that already has a star and him not meshing with the new quarterback. It's a bit of an unknown when you're a receiver trying to jump to a new quarterback. You just don't know if that guy's going to trust you and he's always going to turn to you when he's already got chemistry with everybody else that's in the room. It's a bit of a risk.
Every quarterback can always use a crafty possession receiver that finds himself open in man and zone coverage. And Godwin does that both. And he just has the talent and the capability. I just really like what Tampa's been doing.
Sean, my New York Giants had 2 massive signings for their secondary. I was genuinely shocked coming into on Tuesday and on Wednesday, not expecting the Giants to spend any money on any legitimate names. Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland were guys that were brought up as some of the best free agents in the class. Paulson Adebo was one of the best available corners. There weren't very many good ones. And then Javon Holland was arguably the best available safety in the market because, again, there were no available options. It's really stupid, though, to backtrack here and to realize that they let Xavier McKinney walk and then they brought in and spent all this money on Javon Holland. It's a lot of moves making up for past mistakes. It's the shit that we yelled about the other day with Saquon Barkley leaving and then paying Darius Slayton all this money because you don't want to watch him leave.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel excited about this. This feels like moves of money that's being spent for the next general manager. I'm still waiting on the news that they traded up to the first overall pick, man. If they don't, I stand by this. If they do not trade up for that first overall pick, going and signing Javon Holland, who's a great safety, going and signing Paulson Adebo, who's going to be great opposite Deontay Banks. If you don't move up, and I got to watch, apparently Joe Flacco's in the mix now.
Congratulations.
Joe Flacco, or Russell Wilson, or Aaron Rodgers. Screw you.
Oh, no, you're
Trot out there. I'm going to lose my freaking mind.
You guys are just biding time, weighing all your options. Who needs to get the best available guy?
There's no options. There's no options. There's no fucking options. There's no options, Sean.
I think you guys are being smart. The tortoise always beats the hare, don't they?
Wait, I don't mean to cut you off. I need to, because you just made me like full circle here. Realization. I knew Daniel Jones wasn't shit after 2 years, okay?
Sure.
Whenever your team doesn't have a quarterback, and you were just with Michael Penix was just being drafted by the Falcons. When your team doesn't have a quarterback, you always think to yourself, when the time comes, we're going to get it right. When that time comes, we're going to have the ability to make the right choice, whether it's a free agent, whether it is drafting the best available rookie quarterback.
That's the goal.
And you're telling me that the year in which we're making this decision, there's no good free agent options. It's a bunch of bum-ass, washed old veterans, and it's a historically bad quarterback class. And the last time we took a quarterback was during another historically bad quarterback class? What kind of shit luck is this? Like, why do I have to live through this?
This either becomes, obviously, the nasty cycle and timing that you have been just stuck in, or, very big or here, you get lucky. And you just luck out, and you have a great year, and you draft the guy in the 5th round that becomes your Purdy. I know you love Brock Purdy. Don't you want to draft your own Brock Purdy this year?
Nope.
What?
No, because I don't think Brock Purdy's good, man. I don't. We're getting to the heart of it. That's the ultimate hell. Seriously, that is the ultimate hell. Where you take a guy at the very end of the draft, and he's just good enough to make all the low-level ball knowers think that he's good. Yeah. And then you go and spend a bunch of money on him, and then you realize he wasn't as good as everybody thought. No, I want the tools. I want Josh Allen. I want Lamar Jackson. I want Patrick Mahomes. Cam Ward has that. And we ain't going to fucking get him. We're not going to get him, Sean.
Would you trade for Anthony Richardson?
Actually, yeah, I'd be more than happy to trade for Anthony Richardson.
Wouldn't mind to see him in a new scene. You know,
I think he'd be perfect in Dable's offense.
Give him a fresh start. Why not?
Let him tease me with things I would actually enjoy.
I'm not teasing. I'm just pitching. I'm throwing it out there. I'm sure he'd trade for McCarthy also.
I'd be extremely high. Well, McCarthy's not getting traded. Good shout by you.
Let's see. Not done yet. I guess the main topic here, Paulson Adebo and Javon Holland. I really like Adebo. I hated watching Paulson Adebo play because he was on the Saints and he had some of our Atlanta's wide receivers in hell. But he was a name that continuously popped up. Big tackles, good coverage. That's a good ad for you. I know you guys couldn't keep James Bradbury. That's tough. You know, I know you wanted to, and you probably should have.
He was fine for the 10 minutes he was in New York.
He was good. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
And Holland's really good also. We need to do an investigation on why Miami can find such good defensive backs and never do dick with their team as a whole. Like they never find offensive linemen. They haven't found a defensive lineman since Cameron Wake. But every year, someone's coming out of that Miami defensive backfield getting paid big money. Minkah Fitzpatrick, Holland now. They had, Jalen Ramsey wasn't homegrown there. Who else am I thinking of? I had another name on the top of my list. They just have a bunch of good defensive backs.
They never stay.
Yeah, they never stay. Why would they? We're in Miami. We keep losing. I'll go up to New York and lose even more. Why not? I'm Javon Holland. I'll get paid $45 million by the New York Giants. Good signing. I'm sure Terry's not going to burn him, and you won't be upset.
Terry
McLaurin. I'm sure I'll be able to handle Smitty and AJ Brown pretty well.
This is
CeeDee Lamb going for 150.
This is one of the things though to just like talk about good roster building. Somebody had put out a chart of like where most Pro Bowl players at particular positions end up coming from. Like guards is typically the free agents that you want to sign because typically you get really good guard play out of guys that you sign in free agency. It's just like you can spend the money on the guys at the top of the market. You end up turning those guys into premier players on an already established team. I feel like corners, it's one of those positions where if I didn't draft him, I don't know if I want to pay him because there's usually not great options out there. And I think Paulson Adebo is a good corner, and I think he's going to be a good starter. But I always just get a little worried when you're committing a lot of money to a guy that you didn't draft and he doesn't work out, you're locked in for multiple years. If you drafted a guy and he was already great in the system, you feel better about it. It's like, oh, we drafted this guy. He's shown some good stuff. We extended him. He deserved the money. But there's a shot that he shows up and he stinks. Like Janoris Jenkins was a really good example of that, where he showed up, he was good for a minute, and then he was awful. He was awful. He wasn't very good after that one good season he had with the Giants.
Xavier Howard is who I was thinking of, another Dolphins defensive back. Here's the tricky thing with corners. You're onto something here. I love drafting defensive backs. I love it. I feel like your team can never have enough good cornerbacks and safeties. And then when you get them early on that rookie deal, that's when they're the most exciting pick sixes, big banger, boom or bust types of guys. They're either getting burned or they're locked down all season. And then here comes the time to pay the piper. Look how exciting I was when I was at my fastest and most athletic. Now you're going to pay me for the next 3 years, 4 years maybe. Well, I'm kind of figuring out how to become a crafty vet at the defensive back position. I don't like picking up that next big defensive back contract. I either want them at the beginning or I want them at the end. Like when Stephon Gilmore moved on, he got paid a bunch of money. Then the next team he landed on, fantastic. Like when he went to New England, great. He was a defensive player of the year. But that's because he had to go to another spot. Where did he go? He went to another spot. Was it Indy?
He was with he bounced around a little bit after because he was on the Cowboys for a minute. Wait, let me look that up.
He got paid and then he was adequate, a pretty decent defensive back, and then he started actually learning the tools in the craft and he became defensive player of the year.
Yeah, he was with a lot of teams. So after the Patriots, he was with the Panthers, the Colts, the Cowboys, and then the Vikings. So he really bounced around a shitload. That was why we couldn't really pinpoint that. But, the first team that he was with was with the Panthers. That was a really random one. Yeah, the roster building's weird. A corner is a position that I get a little bit – I have a lot of pause on. Safeties, though, is a position where typically you're going to get the best performances out of a guy that you sign in free agency. You shouldn't spend a draft pick on a safety.
I wasn't crushed when Atlanta – gave a big contract to A.J. Terrell because he showed a level of consistency. Not that he's the best corner in the league, but he's definitely not the worst. I think he's a top 10 guy, but floating around that 10 mark. Some days he's a 12, some days he's an 8 in the league. That's fine. That's worth the money to me to have a guy in that range. But once you start shelling out big money for a top 3 dude who's going to start declining with the speed, or a bottom 25 guy, that's, I think, where teams getting caught in that wicket.
Gavin's making me feel bad because he's a Seahawks fan, because we let Julian Love walk in. That had to have been one of the ones that I was the most upset about, because Notre Dame fan, loved Julian Love at Notre Dame. He was awesome with the Giants, and he was getting better every single year. He's not like a premier safety. He's just a really good starter. He's one of those guys you have on your team, and you're like, yeah, that's a guy that I'm happy to say is a member of the team that I root for, because he's just good enough. The floor is high. He's consistent. He's not a dickhead. Just checks every single box.
We just brought back Mike Hughes, who I was thinking about like that until I saw the Minnesota game where he was sprawled out on the ground twice on deep bombs to Jay Jettas. And I said, okay, Mike Hughes, if we bring you back, it should be at a reduced capacity. But we'll bring him back. We could use another DB.
Sean, the Minnesota Vikings have been extremely active, almost as if having all that extra money to spend allowed them to build themselves a nice little roster. Somebody was wrong on the opposite end of this table. They were very aggressive. The Vikings went after the best available guard that wasn't franchise tagged in Trey Smith in Will Fries. Shout out Will Fries. And Ryan Kelly, the center from the Indianapolis Colts. 2 guys that are plug and play, high floor starters. I'm bullish on what the Vikings are going to be. I know that you feel all weird about J.J. McCarthy, and forget that for a minute, what J.J. McCarthy can be. The way that they've been able to build this roster this offseason, and the way that they can put on those final pieces, those final little touches to round things out in the draft, I think that this team is going to go on for the next 3 years to be one of the best in the NFL. I really do. Like, just bear with me here. If J.J. McCarthy, just with that frame in mind, don't come back at me that J.J. McCarthy won't pan out.
I won't.
Okay. If J.J. McCarthy ends up being a slightly above average quarterback for the next 4 years, say he is at least the 14th best quarterback in the NFL for the next 4 years, the way that this roster is built is good enough to win the division multiple times and to be a NFC championship contending team.
You know what? They have the bones. They've done a masterful job this offseason in getting quality players at positions where other teams lack a lot of depth, and that becomes their Achilles heel throughout the season. Offensive line depth, when that backup guard gets in there, you're in a bad spot because he doesn't have the feet or he doesn't have the awareness to take on a stunt from a psychopath defensive end. Like, that's where teams start getting their Achilles, where they start getting crushed. Minnesota is ailing that. They are adding major pieces, quality players, not the biggest names you've ever heard of, but just really good pieces. And you're right. They should be a team that can compete with Detroit in the NFC North. They should be able to split with Green Bay for however many years to come. They're just a quarterback away. And that's where I'm
going to lose my shit.
I agreed with
Gee,
you.
it's almost like they invested some draft capital in a quarterback. You're right. If only they had done that 2 years ago.
Quarterback away. I honestly, I'm just waiting to be sold on J.J. McCarthy. I'm not closing the door on him.
He hasn't played. What do you mean you're waiting to be sold on him? He hasn't played.
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'm in wait. I'm not jumping to conclusions. My knees aren't strong enough to jump that far to a conclusion that they're going to really beat Detroit, who has everything.
I'm going to put my head through that TV.
Please do. Let me know if you're gonna, because then I'll film it, and I think then maybe we pop.
Here's the biggest part with all this. Even if J.J. McCarthy doesn't hit the way that you're arguing, would you not agree that this is a perfect environment for him to make mistakes, for him to learn and to grow? This is not Sam Darnold when he was with the Jets. This is not... I'm trying to think of some other guys who completely shit the bed early.
Trevor Lawrence had 1 win in his rookie year.
But he ended up being good.
No, he's not.
Your evaluations of what... I don't understand
why do you think every NFL quarterback is good?
I don't. I have talked about guys that are bad. I think that there's circumstances important to talk about with these guys. It is.
He's not good enough to be worth the contract that they paid him. Not saying he can't be good, but he's not a $50 million quarterback.
He is.
Ooh, what's
at
his
his
show?
best he is.
What's his best? I don't even know what his
He
best is
hasn't had
anymore.
any quality. He's throwing a freaking Christian Kirk, man.
He had Evan Ingram. He had Calvin Ridley. He had Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah. Well, this year he had Brian Thomas Jr., and they were able to play a lot better.
Did they make the playoffs?
But the rest of their team was ass. Doug Peterson was a bad coach. You're going to regret
Super Bowl.
You're going to regret the Trevor Lawrence take.
No.
I've
been on the Trevor Lawrence jag for a full year now. A year plus. The dude is not. He doesn't love football.
Okay.
He's not that guy.
J.J. McCarthy, though, even if he struggles over the next couple of seasons, this is the situation to struggle in. An offensive line that was mediocre last year that got a lot better. A team that is stout, extremely stout on defense.
Mm-hmm.
He can go out there and make mistakes and improve. The problem is why a lot of these guys end up being washed is because they have to do everything, and they're not ready to do everything.
You're right. That's correct. And this is an environment conducive for success. But what concerns me is that you have mentioned JJ can go out there and struggle and have troubles. That is such an opposite direction from a 14-win team, Joseph. It is this is something that you do if you're the Steelers.
Darnold wasn't as clean as everybody makes him out to be.
Yeah, he had some stinkers, but he also bossed the hell up. He made some big-time throws that we haven't seen Sam Darnold. We didn't see Sam Darnold make those throws. He evolved. He got better.
But let's think about this one. How and why did he make those big-time throws? Oh, he was throwing to Justin Jefferson. He was throwing to Jordan Addison. One of the best receiver duos in the NFL.
Sure.
Top 5 receiver duo in the NFL. Easily. I know Jay Jettis is carrying the weight of that, mostly being the why they're top 5.
One seesaw half is constantly down.
Yeah. Right. But Addison was, when they were, opposing defenses were so focused on Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison would pop off for big games. Because I had Justin Jefferson in fantasy, so there were a lot of times where I'm like, shit, that was another Addison touchdown. I need another Justin Jefferson touchdown. But
right.
I digress. If you have J.J. McCarthy, goes out there, has a little bit of trouble to start, you don't think that it's easy to build confidence and to start feeling better about yourself and your decision-making with an offensive coordinator that turned Sam Darnold into the next coming, which you called and said that Sam Darnold has only had one good season.
True.
So you've pointed out that before
yes,
he showed up in Minnesota, he was cheeks. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He got the most out of him that anybody's ever got out of him. You think that O'Connell can't, one, figure out how to tailor the offense to him to play to his strengths, run the ball effectively to take pressure off his shoulders, and then the third part, if he needs to get bailed out, Justin Jefferson is the guy who's going to bail him out.
Yeah, well, at least McCarthy threw the ball so much in college and was a better quarterback than Sam Darnold was in college. Oh, wait, no, he wasn't. He was worse.
He was not a better quarterback in college.
His arm's
Sam Darnold
not better.
was fine in college. There's not – it's equal. I would argue it's equal. Darnold's arm is good.
Here's the thing,
J.J. McCarthy's arm is also good.
You talk about this.
McCarthy's a better athlete than Sam Darnold was, and he couldn't
Minnesota-
escape pressure, and that was the biggest problem.
You're saying Minnesota is going to be so welcoming, and it's going to be great for him to have to struggle and grow.
I mean,
and,
they're the nicest fan base of people that are not going to get upset at him, to be fair.
But they're also a pained franchise that hasn't won dick in forever. So this Minnesota team could turn on McCarthy because look at us, 14 wins in the playoffs. We're sacrificing it for an 8-win season, maybe a 10-win season with the kid. Oh, where's my playoff bonus? I like that money. I like my vacation from last year. Oh, no, we had Sam Darnold, and then we shipped him off for a rookie second-year quarterback coming off of an injury, coming off of a senior year where he had no faith from his previous offensive coordinators in college, where you're supposed to dominate as a first-round pick in the NFL draft. It's not conducive.
First of all, had no one to throw to at Michigan. We all know that. No one was getting separation.
If you're a college quarterback, you should be able to throw them open. If you are a first-round guy.
They were so bad that the minute that Roman Wilson was gone, they literally couldn't throw the ball this year. Colston Loveland was the only guy who was catching passes. They had guys that didn't go over 100 yards in the entire season.
He got outdueled by Max Duggan.
That's a sophomore. It was as a sophomore. We're going all the way back to his sophomore year.
Outdueled
Bo
by
Nix
Duggan.
sucked as a sophomore. Justin Herbert was mediocre.
Bo Nix is the
Joe Burrow is ass
Bo Nix
as a
is
sophomore.
the
He wasn't even
all-time
playing.
leading passing. He was the all-time leading passing yardage guy before
but
Dylan Gabriel.
My point is,
he was throwing the rock. McCarthy wasn't. He was handing it off.
My point is that you can't use sophomore year as the barometer of capability. That's not fair to do to him, guys. He showed improvement into his junior year, and he showed what tools he has on the table. He is by far has not proven enough that he can be a great NFL quarterback. I 1,000% concede that. But the fallacy that I think is created is that assuming that Sam Darnold, who has had one good season, goes on to have a second good season. There's guys that have luck in their careers with their franchises where they have one really good year, and then the following year, it's a complete drop-off. Just because he had that one good season in Minnesota doesn't mean that it's something that could have been carried over.
You should have expected replication with that, though. You should have, opposed to taking a gigantic risk for McCarthy and loading him with a bunch of guys that are going to carry the team around him. That's great. Everyone's carrying the boats. But what's going to happen if he can't get the ball to Jettas? What happens there?
Well, Sam Darnold quite literally against the Lions and the Commanders in the playoff. In the Rams in the playoffs, couldn't get the ball to Jay Jettas because he was getting pressured and he couldn't escape pressure because he wasn't athletic enough. We need to stop talking about this because we have done this every episode. It's
infuriating. I get infuriated by the thought of Minnesota tanking a playoff team for absolute chips.
Speaking of two guys that are probably going to tank the futures of two teams, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson is going to be meeting with the Giants and the Browns. Aaron Rodgers was spotted very solemnly contemplating his future existence. May or may not have been on drugs, walking on a beach. He had a nice little shawl going on. Looked very comfortable. I'm kind of jealous. I have a feeling that he's not going to decide until week 4 of the NFL season what team he's going to play for. He's deciding between the Giants and the Steelers. That seems to be where he's going. Which of these teams do you think are the best fits for both these guys?
God. Russell Wilson, Giants. He has the deep ball still. He can maybe throw it deep to Neighbors. He can maybe throw it deep to Hyatt. Maybe he's a handoff merchant. Rodgers, dude, I'm so burnt out on Rodgers. As burnt out as Aaron Rodgers thinks that he is, my burnout on thinking about what Aaron Rodgers would be on another team, unless it's Minnesota, burns me out more. I want to see him complete the Favre circle. I want to see Jordan Love do it afterwards. I think that's just the most entertaining storyline. If Rodgers goes to the Steelers, maybe they have a first 8 weeks that's really good, right? Mm-hmm. Where he's fresh off the injury. We're starting to learn more about Achilles injuries with quarterbacks in the NFL, and that a year really isn't enough. We saw it with Kirk. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers last year, especially when they're over 35. Maybe he has a good first 8 weeks, but as the Steelers do, they like to be paper tigers and then collapse down the stretch, which Aaron Rodgers would be great at this year. I think he'd be phenomenal at that. Start taking some hits, start feeling the age, and then he retires as a Steeler. We get to have that vision or that imagery of Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks ever in a Steelers uniform. I'd pay to see that picture. I would.
Or he gets hit so hard he evaporates into a dust. That's the other option that ends up happening.
And then the Steelers are with Mason Rudolph again, who they also re-signed. 2 years for Mason Rudolph, I guess.
Good for him, man.
I'm happy for Mason Rudolph, but I mean, shit. We're still dipping into the Mason Rudolph pool. At least New England got Dobbs. At least your crap team is going after Flacco, seeing his success.
I can't do it with Flacco.
I hope he gives you 10 games this year.
Stop it. I think I'm all in on Rodgers doing the full career arc of Brett Favre where, and I said this a while ago, him on the Steelers is the best situation for him to like finish strong. And we got to remember when Favre was on the Vikings, those teams were good, but Favre, like, that man was decrepit as shit. That dude could barely move. His arm did not have the same level of juice. This is a guy who was an improviser. Like, this is a gunslinger, guy that was moving around in the pocket. It was one of the most saddest things ever watching an old-ass man. He really looked like an old-ass man, and Rodgers is trending towards that. I got to see him in Pittsburgh. It's the only – him on the Giants, aren't going to be good. I want to see some good football out of him before this is done.
I doubt we get it. I hope we get it. It's the league is better when Rodgers is good, but he doesn't have that Brady gene, I don't think, to carry it in and beat a Mahomes.
But he doesn't need to be Brady, though. He just needs to be Favre.
4 years ago, we were talking about him being a top 3 guy all time. And now we are talking he doesn't need to be Brady. The separation gap that he has caused and that Brady has shown by going that late in his career with such success is really altering the conversation. It's more about Brady than it is Rodgers. But for me, that's going to be an asterisk on his final report card for me that says he crumbled down the stretch. He didn't have all of his abilities to carry on as a veteran quarterback, leader of a team. He was a vagabond. He was a football vagabond that no one really wanted at the end of it. He was a beach bum.
I'm disappointed that we didn't get the Aaron Rodgers as a pervert part of the arc. That didn't come out. I forgot. So this is just to recount what happened with Brett Favre. He had 4,200 passing yards in 2009 and 33 touchdowns. But then he followed that up with 2,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 19 interceptions.
He was hurting.
So this is what I want. I want this exact thing to happen with Aaron Rodgers. Because that awful last season for Favre really kind of stained our final thoughts on him. It was like, oh geez, this is kind of brutal. This is not the same guy that we remember him being. I want to see Rodgers do this where he throws for over 4,000 yards and just completely pops off and takes them all the way to the AFC Championship game, and they lose, and everyone's like, wow, oh my God, is he going to be like Brady? Is he going to take him to this next step? And then just completely paint the back of his pants. I'm talking 5 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, a little hyperbolically, but I need that.
Favre gave us so many fun moments in Minnesota. You're starting to sway me, and you're right about his arm strength and him being the broken down car at the end of his career. Like that touchdown pass, the game-winning touchdown pass he had against San Fran in the back of the end zone. He put his all into that throw. It was like 40 yards. And it was everything he had for it. And it was not a Brett Favre-esque throw. He also threw a crossbody interception to lose the team, the playoff push. If I can get one more, stay with me here, one more Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary at whatever destination he ends up at, just classic moonshot Hail Mary to win the game or to tie it up, send it over overtime before a big clutch drive.
Yeah.
It makes the entire thing worth it for me. All the New York Jets stuff, all the drama, all the I'm going in a cave for 2 days. I just want to see it one more time, and then he's back to legend status for me because he has that weird Steph Curry-esque, like, oh, he's the best at this specific thing.
Right.
And Aaron Rodgers is the best at Hail Marys. Give us one more, old man. Give me one. Let me get your swan song. Let it be in the playoffs. Let it be in the wild card game to boot Buffalo. I don't care who it's against. Just one more.
Something, yeah. No, just to make us, for this nostalgia purposes. Before we get the headlines once every 6 months that he committed tax fraud or something crazy, or he moved to some indigenous country and then he disappears for 4 years and then he comes back out of back into existence. Just some crazy shit. Before we end up there, we need some real football.
Hey, guys, yeah, he's got a glass eye. Hey, guys, can I host Jeopardy now? Am I good? Am I good to go? All right, I'm ready to go back in the public light. I figured my stuff out. It's more broken than ever, I'm sure.
All right, Sean, let's get to hell yeah and get after the week. Hell yeah of the week being something cool that we found, and then get after something of someone getting completely shat on.
This is the Hack City Hell Yeah of the Week. Cue the lasers.
I've got a good one this week. This is for my personal life. Had to mail something today. Had to mail like an actual, like get an envelope, put something in the envelope, close the envelope, and then put into a mailbox. My hell yeah of the week is mailing things. I feel like just people our age in general in this current age, there's no need to mail things. I had to mail a check. When was the last time you had to pay somebody by mailing a check? I have never mailed something in my adult life. I was a little nervous, a little freaked out. I walked in there. I'm like, are they going to yell at me? Are they going to be mean to me? What's going to happen in here? They were very nice. They gave me an envelope. It cost me 95 cents. It already had the stamp on it.
Oh, that's nice.
And I packaged it. I hope that check makes it where it's supposed to be going, because otherwise I'm losing a couple $1,000s. But regardless, yeah, mailing things is cool. It's cool. I want to mail more shit.
Couple grand for that. I think I know what the check is for that.
Oh, it's for I was paying my agent.
Yeah.
That was literally what it was.
Oh.
Well, no, it was multiple months. I paid it because I told him, I'm like, I'm not. It is apparently they've got a woman who's been there for a very long time, and she does not want to get caught up on current systems of payment. So she takes everything by check. That has to be mailed, which is fine. If I was that,
You think CAA operates like this?
no,
Okay.
absolutely not. But I'm not rep by CAA. But apparently she's going to retire in 3 months, and somebody else is going to take over and make everything more modern. So I paid him for the next 3 months in anticipation of when this transition is going to happen, because I told him I'm not doing this again. But I regret that, because that was fun. That was a nice little experience. I totally get why little kids are like, I want to be a mailman. I get it now.
So you went into a post office?
I went into the post office in Hoboken, yeah.
What was that like? What was that scene in there like?
There was nobody in there. Couldn't have been more empty.
Why would there be? It's the post office. Everything's
more
online
people
now.
should be hanging out there. I think we should make that a thing.
No,
Put a bar in the post office.
Put less people around mail workers.
No. Hear me out. So my hometown, this is a very popular thing now. I feel like whenever there's I took you to the bar that was in the train station in my hometown.
I enjoyed it. Yes.
So that's a good bit. You go, you drink, you get on the train. It's combining
utility and
going out
enjoyment.
and having fun and having some drinks. I say that we put a bar in post offices. That's my business plan.
Do you know the history of the
You
post
just mail
office?
whatever you want. You just put whatever you want in mailboxes. You can send it wherever. And it doesn't need to go actually anywhere. You just fill them out and you put them in the box and they just throw them away.
Do you understand the gravity of mail workers, postal workers in the United States?
What are you doing here? What are you doing here?
You can't give them alcohol. You can't give them booze.
No, it's not for them. That's not what
They can't be around it.
No,
They're a bunch of drunks that shoot people. That is what mail workers
It's not
are.
for
I
them.
love them. They're a backbone. You think they wouldn't get their fingers on it?
You're misunderstanding. It is for the general public who's missing out on the post office experience. You go, there's a little bar. Maybe they don't sell cocktails, but it's just beer. You sit down, there's some lawn chairs, and then when you want to be like, hey, I haven't mailed something in like 6 months, I'm going to pretend I'm mailing something, and then you can put it in the mailbox and they just throw it away.
You'd get shot at that bar for looking like you're enjoying yourself. Being a postal worker is the most thankless,
Okay, God forbid
miserable-
I have a little bit of childlike
Wonder?
wonder. God forbid, man.
There's no childlike
Fuck
wonder.
me.
Where
I'm
do
gonna
you think
fuck
the term
myself.
going postal came from, Joe? Where do you think that came from?
I doubt that that's where they came from.
Look it up. You look up where going postal came from.
All right.
It's from postal workers shooting people and becoming serial killers. Do not mess with them. Let them be. They are a backbone of our society.
Okay, going postal is an American English slang phrase for becoming extremely angry, often to the point of violence. Originates from a series of violent incidents in the United States Postal Service starting in 1986, where disgruntled employees committed mass shootings.
You've watched Seinfeld. You've seen the airport betting episode.
Yeah, I have.
He brought in the mailbag from the most famous postal worker who killed a bunch of people. That's what Newman brought in as his big wagering amount. To leave the post workers alone.
I hate you. You ruined this. This was a big day for me.
I wasn't
and you
trying
ruined
to.
You ruined it for me.
Trust me.
What's your hell yeah? You just
Okay.
ruined my day.
You don't have to have your day ruined.
No, you ruined my day. This is a big day for me.
We can go see a nice movie
No.
together.
No. What's your hell yeah, though?
Yeah, I was getting to it with a nice transition.
Screw your transition. You ruined my day.
Screw you. Don't come to the movies with me then. Watch me power through here. You don't get to go see all these awesome movies reimagined in modern IMAX. You don't get to do it because IMAX is making some smart decisions completely opposite of what the general movie industry is doing. They're saying, we got the hits. We know what good movies are. You have told us what good movies are. We're putting them back in theaters. Princess Mononoke? Yeah. 4K remaster going in IMAX. The Dark Knight? Yeah. Bring that back on in late March.
Bad first example, but continue.
Yeah. It's great. Keep it up. I don't want to see any more of these shit modern movies. Give me the classics. If I'm going in and paying $20 for a movie ticket, or I guess it's going to be less because we got roped into an AMC Club Plus members card that gives us, I guess, a small popcorn for free that you can shake into two different trays.
We can see as many movies as we want. We just have to go see more of them.
I don't want to see more new movies. I want to see more good old movies.
I'm sure that's a part of the bit.
I'm excited for it. IMAX, you're knocking it out of the park. This is a great decision. Stop taking chances. We're done with chances for a while. Just give us the good stuff for the summer. I want to have a plan and come to Joe on a Wednesday saying, I don't know if I want to go out, this week, but
on a Wednesday.
Yeah, like planning for the weekend.
Okay,
Saturday. They're showing Goodfellas in IMAX. Big theater. You want to get some popcorn and go to that? Yes, I would like to go to that. That'd be great. That's a good Saturday.
I don't know about that one.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it would be converted, but a great movie.
Oppenheimer in IMAX was probably one of the best IMAX movies I've ever seen. So
did you watch the whole movie?
Oppenheimer, yeah, it was one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I enjoyed the first two-thirds of it. I didn't watch the end courtroom scene. I got out of there.
Really?
Yeah, when the movie turned to black and white, and it was just
wait. You didn't finish Oppenheimer?
No, I left after the explosion stopped. That was my vested interest.
Were you bored?
Yeah, kinda.
That's one of the most intense movies I've ever watched. Oh my God.
Because I wanted to see the practical effects. I wanted to see the bombs. That's what I wanted from Oppenheimer. I didn't want to lecture. I didn't want to sit through a trial. I didn't want it to feel like a business meeting, and that's what the last third of the movie felt like.
But that was the whole movie. The end of the movie was the most important part of the movie.
Oh, how tortured Oppenheimer was, and how he had Robert. Yeah, I got kind of bored. Yeah, I was sick of it.
You consider yourself a cinephile, and you're telling me you didn't finish Oppenheimer?
Correct. I think I made the right decision.
What was the first movie you mentioned when you brought this up?
Princess Mononoke.
What the fuck is that?
Probably the most famous Studio Ghibli movie of all time. Re-released in 4K. I'm going to it opening night. Might pop a gummy and sit in the front row and get my mind blown. Get connected with nature all over again. Go ahead.
You're the fakest movie enjoyer I've known on this planet. You just like anime. You just like anime.
No, that's not true.
Oppenheimer. It's a classic.
Oh, a classic? How many times did you watch it since release?
Once. It's too long to watch more than once.
Oh, I thought a classic you could watch whenever.
I also don't watch a lot of movies.
The Godfather's 3 hours long.
I haven't seen The Godfather. We've been over this. I'm not the one who claims to be a cinephile, though. You're the one who claims that. Do you even have a letterbox?
No, I don't have a letterbox.
Okay.
I've thought about it. I might as well just put it on my stupid Substack, though.
Why do you say it like that? The Substack's not going well.
I don't know. I wrote a full article on Wednesday, and I still haven't posted it. It's just been
What was it about?
It was about sports leagues and their cognitive dissonance between how they promote players and what they want players to be.
Your whole bit that
yeah. If you're gonna flag a player and then also put him in a sick hype video for the play that he got flagged on, like Josh Allen specifically, what do you want from that guy?
Right.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
All right, let's get to Get Effed.
Get help?
I broke my knee, man.
No. Get effed.
I sup, son?
It's the Hack City Get Effed of the Week.
Before Get Effed here, I have to chime in. I'll replay the production.
Oh, screw it, Ryan! You and
David
Ryan just
Flaccoberry. I fell asleep during Oppenheimer. You know
you
why?
guys are a bunch of children.
Because it was a snooze
You guys
fest.
are a bunch of children.
Ryan Roberts.
You guys are a bunch of children.
Big RR chiming in. Yeah,
you and Ryan
Oppenheimer
agree on
sucks.
everything because you're both a bunch of big children.
I didn't get to
You
see
have no
Cillian
taste.
Murphy for even longer, and he would cry and weep, and the tortured merchant of death. Give me a break.
Go watch your anime princess this movie, buddy.
I will. They got bombed and turned out the greatest art form that we may have even seen. Best-selling books, comic books, shows. I'm sure. I'm sure we were the winners.
Week, apparently, my good F is Rich Rod, head coach of West Virginia. He comes out this week and he says that he's banning TikTok dancing for his players. I am so happy about this. This is some based shit. Seeing all these damn kids dancing. You know, who's Jared McCain? Is that the one kid who's on from Duke who dances all the time? Good basketball player.
Zesty Hooper.
I'm sick of watching him dance. I'm sick of seeing the dances on TikTok. I don't want to see this crap. You see these dumb walk-ons, these goofy, fluffy-haired walk-ons who are dancing and shit in the locker room. Get him out of here. He said in his quote, I'm just saying that he can't keep him off of using the app, but he said, I'm just banning them from dancing on it. It's like, look, we're trying to have a hard edge or whatever, and you're in there in your tights dancing on TikTok. Ain't quite the image of our program that I want. I hope our focus can be about winning football games. How about let's win football games and not worry about winning the TikTok? Get their ass, Rich Rod. This is awesome. I want more coaches to do this shit.
It's fantastic. I love this get effed. It's fine to make videos and the Instagram live after the game. Everyone's fired up. But the locker room,
dong like every other guy's done.
The locker room is a sacred place where you can feel like death in front of your locker after a conditioning test, and you lay sprawled out because you just gave it your all. If you have the energy to do TikTok dances in practice, in season, it's not managing your time well. Rich Rodriguez is spot on. Make whatever content you want, but we're not going to be sitting here dancing like we're on Broadway. Why would we do that? We're a football team.
Yep.
I want to see the football game. That's what I want to do. I want to see football players, be characters, have some edge. It's a gladiator sport.
Hell yeah.
It's not the ballet. Hell yeah, Rich Rod, get effed,
What's
TikTok
yours?
dancing athletes. Mine, analytics dorks. Get ready. You're a big analytics dork. I have crushed, Joe has crushed a former analytics dork, and I'm excited to see what more he has in store here, Joe. I'm not sure how much you have stayed up to date with Major Dweeb Brandon Staley.
Of course.
Really tanked the Chargers and tanked the first couple years of Justin Herbert's career. Looked like he was a fifth grader or a fifth grade teacher on the sideline. Kind of did both. Huge analytics guy. His fourth down knowledge and going for it was always suspect. Supposed to be a defensive guru. His defense has always sucked. And on the left here, he looked like that. A big old dork. Now that he's in New Orleans, look at that shaved head. Look at the beard. Look at the grit.
Oh.
This guy is going to be coming for heads. This guy, you can tell, new age Brandon Staley, is going to be an alpha. And that is exactly what the Saints need. That's what he needed. It's an image rewash. Get effed analytics people that think they can be all smooth in their tight pants and their quarter zips. Be like Brandon Staley. Grow the beard. Shave the head down. Become a psychopath. I hope he's watching alpha TikToks and listening to David Goggins all day. That's all I
Does he
want.
go through a divorce or something? Because that's what he looks like.
Looks like it. Good for him. Get divorced. That'll make you a better football coach.
He went from looking like a private equity dork to looking like just like the meanest divorced dad that you could possibly find.
He looks like
I love this. This is great for football.
You're right. He looks like he got divorced and said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to train for an Ironman. I'm going to do an Ironman. I'm going to do a triathlon. Because what do I have to lose? I don't have that lady nagging in my ear all day anymore. I'll just train the body, mind, and soul. Why not? And I'll be a great defensive coordinator. Excited to see what Brandon Staley does. Love this direction for not only his image or his brand, but the tone that he presents as a football coach. He's not TikTok dancing. He's grown a beard and eating with the wolves.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Hell yeah, Brandon Staley. All the way back. We don't have any mailbag questions today. 201-834-4308. Please remember to call in, leave us a voicemail. Rack has been suspended. You've blocked him momentarily.
Yeah, 2-week hiatus for Rack. And he
made a mom joke. I don't think it was that bad of a mom. It was a pretty benign mom joke. It's the run-of-the-mill bad mom joke that he made. I don't think it was terrible. I think it deserved a suspension.
It was pretty benign, but he was responding to me, giving a little props to an online comic that I like, a cartoonist, and he just decided to throw a mom joke in there, and a man has to have
That's
a
fair.
line.
That's
and
fair.
I have my line, and I have my principles, so I'm going to address it, Rack. I'm not going to run Rack down. He's been a great listener. He's been faithful, but this is my line. If you cross it, or even if it was a funny mom joke, maybe I leave it up.
Yeah, it wasn't
You
a
know?
very good one.
If you make me laugh, that's great. Or if it's super benign, that's great. But you just crossed the line enough to get the 1 week suspension, and Ryan Roberts doubled that for you because he decided to stoke you on in the Rack City group chat. And that can't happen. I can't have this coupling.
So he's banned for 4 weeks.
Oh, no. He went from 1 week to 2 week. And if the hijinks continue, it'll be a full month.
Okay.
And Rack, get with your boy RR.
Can you still see his messages?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Yeah. So
he's not really blocked.
I guess he's not really blocked. I can still directly communicate with him in a group chat. But his status of suspension is completely in Ryan Roberts' hands. The way that those two were acting last night, foul.
I don't read that chat at all.
Oh, that's great.
You're welcome for being in it.
Appreciate it.
All right, everybody. At Hack City Pod, at Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later.
God, forgot I was supposed to end it.